Modern men aren't lazy. They're distracted. They're negotiated into weakness. And most of them don't even realize it's happening. Look closely. The men around you don't collapse suddenly. They don't fail loudly. They don't give up all at once. They erode, slowly, quietly, one excuse at a time. They wake up later than they planned. They train less than they promised. They delay the thing they said mattered most. And they call it balance. They call it being realistic. They call it self-care. The samurai had another word for it: failure. Today you're going to learn one samurai rule that modern men ignore completely, and why ignoring it slowly destroys discipline, identity, and self-respect. No one tells you this, but modern men are exhausted from choice. Every day starts with decisions. Should I wake up now or later? Gym or rest? Work or scroll? Focus or escape? By noon, they're already depleted. And by night, discipline is gone. And slowly, a dangerous pattern forms. They stop trusting themselves, because every broken promise, no matter how small, teach the brain one thing: my word doesn't matter. Samurai culture understood something brutal. A man without internal trust is already defeated, not by enemies, by himself. Mark was 24, Austin, Texas, UX designer, good income, quietly respected. On the surface, Mark was doing fine. But every night around 12:30 a.m., he sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his phone with the same bitter thought. Why can't I stay consistent with anything? He had tried everything: gym routines, morning rituals, meditation streaks, cold showers, journals, courses. Each one started strong. Each one died quietly. Not because he quit dramatically, but because he negotiated. I'll skip today. I'll double tomorrow. I deserve rest. I'll restart next week. And every time the same ending. Nothing stuck. Mark wasn't weak. He was modern. Your brain is not built for discipline. It's built for survival. And survival has 3 rules. 1. Avoid discomfort. 2. Conserve energy. 3. Repeat what's familiar. Every new habit violates all 3. So when you rely on willpower, you're asking a fragile modern intention to fight an ancient biological system. The samurai never did that. They didn't fight the brain. They removed its authority. Mark discovered an obscure translation of samurai household codes from the Edo period. One line stopped him cold. A warrior does not decide daily. He decides once and then obeys. That sentence hit harder than any motivational quote he'd ever read, because Mark realized something painful. He was deciding every day, and every day, he was giving himself the option to quit. The rule was never written as advice. It was lived as law. Here it is. Never allow a behavior to remain optional once it has begun. Samurai didn't feel like training. They trained, not because of discipline, but because choice had been removed. Modern men keep habits optional. Optional habits always die. Every time you negotiate with yourself, your authority weakens. You don't feel it immediately, but over time. Confidence erodes, focus scatters, self-respect collapses. You stop believing your own promises. Samurai culture considered this state dangerous. A man who cannot command himself cannot command anything. Mark tried motivation again. Big mistake. Motivation fades. Samurai systems don't rely on feelings. They rely on structure. And Mark was about to learn why structure always beats desire. Mark understood the rule intellectually, but knowing the rule isn't enough, because modern men don't fail at understanding. They fail at implementation. Modern men are taught one dangerous idea: be flexible, listen to your body, adapt. It sounds intelligent, it sounds mature, it sounds healthy. But to the samurai, flexibility was a luxury only allowed after mastery. Before mastery, flexibility was decay, because flexibility keeps choice alive, and choice is where discipline dies. Mark noticed something disturbing. Even on days he did show up, he never showed up the same way. Sometimes he trained in the morning, sometimes at night, sometimes hard, sometimes light, sometimes meditation, sometimes reading. Same goal, different execution, and every variation felt justified. That's when it hit him. I never quit. I just never became predictable. To himself, samurai training wasn't intense because it was extreme. It was intense because it was fixed. Same hour, same place, same form, same repetition, day after day, year after year. Why? Because the brain cannot negotiate with constants. If training happens sometime today, the mind negotiates. If training happens at one exact hour, negotiation disappears. No debate, no analysis, no resistance buildup. The samurai didn't ask, "Do I feel ready?" They showed up before feeling arrived. Every flexible habit requires decisions. Should I do it now or later? Morning or evening? Before work or after? Hard or light? Short or long? Each decision drains willpower. By the time action is required, the fuel is gone. Samurai systems eliminated decisions before action. That's why they endured. Mark chose a time, not because it was optimal, not because it felt right, but because it was inconvenient. 5:30 a.m. No distractions, no social obligations, no excuses. He didn't choose it to feel good. He chose it to remove options. And something strange happened. The first week was brutal. His body resisted. His mind rebelled. Every excuse resurfaced. But he didn't argue, because the decision had already been made. By day 9, Mark woke up before the alarm. By day 12, his body moved automatically. By day 14, there was no debate. The habit had crossed a threshold. The samurai knew this moment well. They called it obedience without thought. This is where discipline stops hurting. Just when Mark thought he'd won, the mind adapted. It stopped negotiating when. It started negotiating what. Should I meditate or stretch today? Should I read instead? Maybe journaling feels better today. Same time, different behavior. The mind had found a loophole, and the samurai had already sealed it centuries ago. Zen Master Dogen taught something modern men hate. Correct form precedes correct feeling. Same posture, same breath, same movement, every day, until the mind breaks its resistance. Variety feels freeing, but variety keeps identity unstable. The samurai repeated the same form until the body no longer questioned it. Every variation requires evaluation. Evaluation requires thought. Thought invites resistance. Samurai discipline worked because it became mechanical, not emotional, not expressive, not flexible, reliable. Same time, same duration, same practice. No upgrades, no optimization, no improvement chasing, just execution. And something unexpected happened. The habit stopped feeling like effort. It felt like gravity, unavoidable. Mark had removed choice, time negotiation, behavioral variation. But one danger remained, the most dangerous enemy of discipline: success. Because success makes men relax, and relaxation reintroduces choice. Failure doesn't kill discipline. Success does. This is where most modern men collapse. Not when things are hard, but when things finally start working. That's when pride enters. That's when comfort returns. That's when the rules loosen. And that's when the fall begins. The samurai understood this better than anyone. They feared victory more than defeat. By week 5, Mark had changed. Not emotionally, structurally. He woke at 5:30 a.m. without resistance. He trained without thought. He executed without debate. For the first time in his life, consistency felt normal. And that's when the thought appeared. Not loud, not dramatic, just a whisper. I've earned flexibility. He didn't miss a day. He didn't quit. He just adjusted. One morning at 6 a.m. instead. One shorter session. One lighter day. Nothing dramatic. Nothing reckless. Just relaxed. The samurai would have called this moment the crack. Success creates a dangerous illusion. I am now the kind of person who can choose. But discipline is not proven by results. It's proven by obedience when results arrive. The brain sees success as safety, and safety reactivates negotiation. Once negotiation returns, the system begins to rot from the inside. Not immediately, quietly. Samurai did something modern men find insane. When they won battles, they tightened their routines. When life improved, they removed more choice. Why? Because they knew. Comfort weakens form. Form protects identity. They never celebrated by relaxing discipline. They celebrated by deepening it. Victory meant recommitment. Mark discovered this principle buried in an old Zen text. When the blade becomes sharp, you do not swing harder. You hold it steadier. Discipline isn't maintained by intensity. It's maintained by unchanged form. Mark realized something terrifying. Every time he rewarded himself with flexibility, he was reintroducing the very chaos that ruined his past. So he did the opposite. He locked the system tighter. Same time, same duration, same practice. No celebration breaks, no cheat days, no exceptions. Not because he was strict, because he was finally free. The final samurai rule is this: never let results change the system. Systems survive. Motivation doesn't. Samurai didn't rise and fall emotionally. They stayed flat, unmoved, because consistency isn't heroic. It's boring, and boring is unbeatable. Modern men chase progress, optimization, balance, comfort. Samurai chased repetition, obedience, form, permanence. That's why modern men burn out, and samurai endured for decades. One morning, months later, Mark realized something strange. He no longer identified as a man trying to be disciplined. He simply was. There was no effort, no self-talk, no pride, just execution. The rule had done its job. This system isn't for everyone, because it kills something modern men cling to: the fantasy of freedom through choice. True freedom comes from removing choice. The samurai were free because they were bound to time, bound to form, bound to identity. If you apply this rule halfway, it will fail. If you soften it, it will collapse. If you customize it, you'll negotiate again. This system only works when it's absolute, just like the samurai intended. Most men quit because they are still deciding. The samurai decided once and lived inside that decision forever. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer options. Type the one rule you will lock permanently, because once you do, quitting disappears.